Hey there, it's a continuation of a previous video about data binding in WPF. Please find the link in description. I will go ahead and just comment them all out. I want to show something related to checkbox. Checkbox content, I believe content is, let's call it, let's add some country names and see how it goes. I will start with Canada. Let's see, there is a checkbox called Canada, and font size is equal to 24. Okay, so we have a checkbox called Canada, and its checked property should be binded to something. Let's go ahead, and now that we have the property changed, let it be there. And now I'm going to start with prop full, and this is going to be a bool, and say Canada is checked. It's checked. Canada is checked. Now let me come back here. I will say is checked is binding. Canada is checked, and notify on source updated is update source trigger is property changed, and go back. And here, as usual, we need to do this one. Fine. So the moment this gets changed, since we are keeping it simple, what I will do, I will write a debug.writeLine and say Canada is checked. If it is checked, then I will say Canada. So or else I will say nothing. Let's see. So what we are doing here is, whenever Canada is checked, we will write the name Canada, and if it is not checked, we will keep empty. Let's run this and see. And in the debug output, we should see our values here. Let me clear my debug area and come back. Canada, Canada, remove Canada, remove Canada. So you could see that there is a space there. So first it was Canada and nothing is selected. Canada and nothing is selected. So we know that this binding to Canada is working. What if I go ahead and say, along with Canada, now I need something else. I need one more country, and let's call it as India. So let's see, Canada is now checked. India is now checked. Canada removed, India removed. India is checked, Canada is checked. India removed, Canada removed. India is checked, Canada is checked. Canada removed, India is checked. So this works. But what if we need to have more countries? Is it feasible? Is it a good solution to go on like this? It doesn't make any sense. So there are more than one way how we can bind a checkbox to a single property. For instance, how it would be if we can directly bind to something like a list of string, like selected countries, and call selected countries. Wouldn't it be nice to have something like this? So what we do here, on property change, we just say name of selected country. So only one thing, a single property, and all the countries will be binded to this selected countries. And whenever the change is happening, we need to just display all the countries that are selected. So it will become easy for us in case we are going to test something. All we need to do is just from the selected country, we need to see the names of the countries that are selected. It sounds easy, but the property is different because each checked is a Boolean property, and we are trying to bind it to a list of strings. So it will obviously throw exception, but before that I need to do something. I need to comment out this dispatcher timer because we are not using it anymore. Let's take a quick look and see how the exception happens. See, it's not working. 1, 2. If I go to the output, it will throw me exceptions. It says here that cannot save the value back to the source because selected countries is the is checked is a property is a boolean, and we are expecting boolean, and it cannot be converted into generic list. So even if you turn off the exception and whatever you do, there is an exception which is happening in the back. Since it is an UI related exception, you are not seeing it on the screen. So this is not working because you cannot directly bind a different data type to another data type. So there comes IValueConverter. This is where we use IValueConverter. Let's call it as Checkbox Converter. Public class Checkbox Converter, and it is a value converter. There are more than one converter. We have value converter, we have multi-value converter, but this video will only focus into value converter. We have a converter here, and all we need to do is convert and convert back. What is convert? Convert is source to target. What is source? Holds the data. Target displays the data. So here convert back is target to source. So let's just return null at present. Return null. So this is just to ensure that we have something in place, and this converter we need to first bring it to our view model or the view. So obviously the only way to bring it is as a resource. So resource dictionary. So resource dictionary is for what? It is a resource. So window.resources resource dictionary, and here I will just say checkbox converter, which is coming from here, and I will give a key and call it as cbox converter. So this is just creating an instance. This is nothing but like cbox converter is equal to new checkbox converter. That's what it means, but it's like a static one. All we need to do is give converter is equal to static resource checkbox converter. So I'm saying that I have a converter, use that converter and change the values here. Checkbox converter. That's cool. Now again, there is some exception. Let's try to build again. Okay. Now if you take a look, both looks identical. How come it could be identical? Because this is Canada and this is India. We need to differentiate. So apart from converter, we also have converter parameter. So I'm going to give a parameter along with the converter and say this is Canada, and I'm going to say this is obviously India, and now I will just comment them all. I will create multiple. Now all the magic will happen here. We know for a fact that the converter, so what it expects is the source. I know for a fact that the source is a list of string. So I will just return a list of string, and I know another fact, which is the target is a boolean. So I will just say false. Currently I will just keep it like this to check whether my properties are coming here or not. First let us see. First, initially I got my source, which is null. Okay, why it's null? Because my the string value is null. When I'm initiating, I need to have selected countries is equal to new list of string. So now this is not null. I can give here, or I can directly give in the attribute itself, so that initial value is initiated. So now my initial value from the source selected countries is new list and it is 0, and the target type is either it is nullable or it is a system boolean. So the target, the is checked is either it is nullable or it is boolean, and parameter is Canada. So first parameter is Canada. So what do we have here? It is false. Okay. Second parameter is India. So this is all working fine. And if you could see here, this will be like this. Now let me select UAE, and it is trying to convert back to the UAE. So the value is true, parameter is UAE. So it says that UAE parameter is true. So we need to inform the source that from the target, the UAE has been selected. So this is a quite simple task. So now that we know what's happening, I'm going to create one more property here and call it as list of string original source is equal to new list of string. So this is my original source, and whenever I get the information, I'm going to say if value is nothing but the source. If value is list of string value list, if not, okay, if not value is list of string, just return false. So initially I'm just saying if the incoming value is not a list, just return false and close this. And then I will say when I reach the line, next line, which means that it is obviously a list, so let me put it to original list source is equal to value list. The next step, the parameter is here. If the list contains this parameter, then return true. If original source dot contains parameter dot toString, then return true. So what I'm saying is, in the incoming list, if by some chance the parameter could be India, could be Canada, or could be whatever it wants, if it is present, then return true because it is selected, or else return false. Very simple. That's fine. So I will put here, or I will say put not applicable. Why am I putting this? Sometimes the parameter could be null and we don't want to end with null exception, and that's why. Now incoming should work without any problem. Let's test that. In the incoming, what I'm going to do, selected countries equal to new list of string along with India. I'm going to say initiating that value along with India, so which means the India is selected by default. So when the view comes up, it should have India selected. Let's go to our checkbox converter and put a checkbox here. Let me restart. Okay, so incoming list is null initially. I'm sorry, it's not null. Here we need to put it here. The incoming list is already having a value called India and parameter is Canada. Okay, so incoming list is let's see, parameter is India, and if we reach this point, so we are returning true for India. So in this way, India is selected by default. So if I select Germany, then what it happens, it will just return it back to the UI a new string. So now India will also be removed. Why? Because we changed the source here during convert back. So we need to do something else. So we need to fix this convert back also. So what does convert back does? From the target, from the UI, if some value is removed, we need to remove it. If it is not removed, it needs to be returned as is. So it's going to be quite simple. The original source is already present, right? So we need to check if incoming value, if not value is bool, value bool. So incoming value is not bool. Return original source. But by chance, if the incoming value bool, if value bool, which means if it is true, anyhow this is value bool is a boolean. If it is true, else true means add, remove. What I am trying to say here is, when a parameter comes, let's say Canada, along with the boolean value true. So parameter is Canada and is checked is true, then it means Canada is selected. We need to add Canada to the list. So if original source dot contains parameter dot toString does not contain, then original source dot add parameter dot toString. So if value bool or else parameter is equal to null. If parameter is null also, we don't need to do, we just return the original string. So in that case, we know that parameter is not null here. So we'll just put not null. I can directly go ahead and say like this. Fine. So what I'm saying here, if it is true, like the parameter is Canada and it says true, if original source already does not contain it, add it. If it is false, all we need to do is, we don't need to care if it contains or not. Original source dot remove all, where it says a predicate. So predicate is nothing but a function. So what it says, remove all where predicate of string. Predicate is nothing but it takes in a value and returns a boolean. So if p equals parameter dot toString, then return true. So which means a predicate which takes in string and compares with the parameter, if this is true. This is to ensure that if there are more than one Canada present in original source, it will remove everything. And finally, instead of returning it, you just return the original source. Now this looks nice. Let's try again. Now what I will do, I will just remove the original source here and we will put, anyhow we already saw this incoming value, India is selected. Now let me select France. So what happened here, value is true and France is selected. So this is a true value and France is selected, which means if original source contains France, no, it only contains India. So add France also. So now original source contains India and France. So return original source class. So France is added. Now let us add US. Now true and USA is there. Does original source contain US? Yes. Earlier it was not. Now it contains class. So now 3 are selected. Now let us remove India. Incoming is false and parameter is India. Okay. So value is false. So from the original source, remove all the values which are equal to India. Now original source should be 2. So India is removed. So let's play with this again now. India, Canada, Germany, and go ahead and see the output. Now we didn't add the output, right? So we will add the output here. So it will be easy for us. After everything is done, debug.writeLine and selected countries. We need to display the names, right? It's not so easy to directly display names of everything. So we will say to array, so which means it changes into an array. And after it changes into an array, string.join, join with a comma, and array will be this one. So join a string array with this. Let's check if it works. I'm pretty much sure it should work because we are connecting all the values with an array. And let's remove everything. Germany. So it shows India, Germany. Next, India, Germany, Russia. And now I will remove Germany. So India, USA, Russia. India, USA, Russia, and Canada. And let's remove India. So in a way, this works. And that's it. And speaking of converters, I-value converters, you need to set up two: convert, which will convert the source to target, and again convert back, which will change the target to the source. And now what you have seen is a very complex example. In most of the cases for converters, it will be fairly straightforward. You will be changing a selection to true or false, a boolean to visibility, very basic things you will be doing there. That's the way how it works. And I will see you in another video. Thank you.